we get started?
Yeah, let's kick it off. Looks like this might be it. But
Okay.
if it's quick, it's quick.
All right. I guess I'll share my screen. Can somebody help me take notes?
Yeah, I can do that.
Awesome. All right. So cool. I guess we'll start with our normal check-ins. So I guess on the open source side, or yeah, I guess with kind of the Calico side, we've had, I guess, a recent release. So we released 325.1. So that's out. I think the caveat there is we realized that there's some issues with some of the, I guess, the encryption, the encrypted traffic. So we're still looking at exactly how we want to do the fix, since there's kind of a mismatch between kind of the new FIPS requirements and I think kind of some of the older versions. So there's a little bit of fixes that might come out for a 325.2 pretty soon, but we're still kind of debating what exactly the next step should be. So if you run into that, I'm really sorry, and we're fixing it. I think we're also planning on doing 326.0. So that should be coming out a little later this month. It was delayed slightly, but I think everything looks in order to have that out in kind of the next few weeks. So expect that one to come out. I think we've chatted about kind of the feature list in other meetings, but kind of the big things are Windows Server 2022 support, OpenStack Yoga support, and a few other kind of nice changes and bug fixes. So be on the lookout for that. And then we are, I guess, releasing 324.6 after that. I know this one has been long asked for. There's some bird improvements and other things in there that are in 325 and 326 that we just hadn't made an official release of 324 yet to really uptake all of that. So it's coming, but it'll be kind of the next thing out after 326.0. So I think as far as all of our releases, or at least the releases on my end, I think that's probably it. Anything on the VPP side, or sorry, not VPP side, eBPS side? I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, not really. There are a couple of fixes, and the big refactor that should speed up loading programs, still work in progress, which is coming to an end, hopefully. That should improve the speed in which we load the BPF programs and how we manage the BPF programs. Hopefully we'll see a reduction in CPU usage and memory.
Nice.
Just on 325.1, I guess it's kind of a hot issue, but we had a really nice fix in there that I was glad to finally make, which was to fix the routing table scalability issues that we've had for a long time. But all of a sudden, everyone seems to want to run 250 or 1,000 pods on a node. And so we finally got a good reason to fix that issue. And now it doesn't use a lot of CPU when you have lots and lots of pods, which is great.
In a similar vein, for I think was targeted for 325.1, but it didn't make it. But there was a community contribution that drastically improved the efficiency of our IPAM garbage collection code. I've seen a couple users who were hitting issues with that, especially on larger clusters where the garbage collector was getting behind and using lots and lots of memory. That should be in 325.2 and 326, as well as 324.6. And if we decide to do a 323 release, it's been backported that far as well.
Sweet. Awesome. Cool. Anything new on the operator end, Eric?
Nothing really too much. I was just actually responding to somebody that had commented on an operator issue earlier today. They were asking about the CSI node driver. The tolerations didn't match node for a bit, and there hasn't been a Calico release for the 324 series. So my comment to them was just update the 325, but I guess I can go back and say, hey, if you really need to stick with 324, you can possibly do that at the end of this month or early next month. But yeah, nothing. I don't. Yeah. Well, I guess I do know that we're looking at making some improvements with the operator and how many updates it does, puts, I guess, specifically. Because right now we kind of, when we reconcile stuff, we will issue updates even if nothing needs to change, and so that causes some issues for some people looking at audit logs, since they'll, see puts updates when they're not needed. So we're looking at some changes to reduce that, so like everybody will benefit from that. They might not know they'll benefit from it, but it'll be good if they have to look at the audit logs. Yeah, I think that's all I got then.
Cool. Thank you. Nathan, anything on the VPP side?
VPP main news lately was that we finally got deployed on OpenShift, so tracked down a bug, so that's working. Still need to craft a patch and upstream it, but that should be done working. We are still working on tests and also on multinet, which is which we are building on top of the VP integration. And in parallel to that, yeah, I think that mostly, no, the main thing is we are focusing a bit on performance, so performance optimizations, and hopefully we'll be able to upstream those for 326 as well. So trying to align Planet to and not be too late following the 326 release.
Awesome. I guess what time frame do we expect those to drop in? I think we're hoping to, get code complete for a lot of that by kind of this week or like really early next week. Is that
okay.
Is that a reasonable time frame for this, or should we?
I think we usually we align what we've been doing for the past release is we try to follow by a couple of weeks because we have to make sure that we are compatible with the API the Calico API that gets version and bumped. Do a bit of test, but if we don't manage to have those optimization in, then we'll push that to the next one. That's
okay, cool. Well, we'll see how it goes.
don't-
We have
yeah.
we have the, I guess,
Yeah.
the Slack channel. Sorry.
Yeah. But,
Cool. Sweet. I think other than that, I think I guess miscellaneous announcements. I guess we've moved our docs. So previously we had them all kind of in our mono repo. Now they are at a new location. So they are now at Tigera/docs. So if you go looking for any docs changes now, that's where they're all hosted. I think everything else though should route. So all of the links that you have been using, I think should just route to, I guess, the new locations. So everything should be fine unless you have to like contribute to the docs. And I think that's it on any miscellaneous announcements. Anything else on anybody else's end if they're remembering anything?
Nothing from me.
Okay, cool. Okay. So I guess there was actually one thing I wanted to point out, I guess, in terms of issues that we have, less because it's a really important issue that people should be tracking, but more that I wanted to get people's attention and get some feedback on it. So we created an issue for discussion about configuration. That's at what is it, 7497. So I would encourage everyone to take a look, post any feedback, anything there that we can do to help make Calico easier to configure. That's what we're going to try to do. So any feedback is welcome. Any I guess shoot. Yeah, any contributions are also welcome. So yeah. And I think that was all I wanted to point it out there. Anybody else have any other things they want to chat about?
We should just get rid of V3 data model and use CRDs throughout. Just use CRDs like everybody else. We're not special.
Yep.
We're not a special little snowflake.
I think it's time for a V4. We also have the option of going to V2 because we skipped that one. We went straight from 1 to 3.
Yeah, no idea how we do a migration. If it's possible to do in some clean, nice way.
Yeah. I mean, it would be a lot of work if, so long as the new API is not a, like if it's a translatable to the old one, we could do that in Cypher or wherever. Yeah, I think the way I'm leaning is as a stopgap, we should just use as much as we can to make the existing CRD API usable on its own. Since everyone's using that anyway. And like just sort of nail that down with Cube Builder validation and defaulting. And then kind of call that the bootstrapping API, because that's when most people need to use it. Once the API server is up, it can sort of take over. But it would be really nice, for example, to be able to put Felix configuration in the Helm chart for just start of day config before the API server's up.
Yeah, I know that's a feature that's been asked about a lot. So yeah, cool. Sweet. I guess anybody have any heroes they want to point out this month? Anybody you've noticed?
I do. Yeah, back to that issue I called up before. It was Dmitry Ilvesky. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'll stick a link to the PR, but he's the one who made that optimization in the IPAM garbage collector code, which was just a really nice cleanup of that, and immediately was resolving problems that we were seeing on Slack. So that was pretty timely as well.
Awesome. That's super cool. I'm probably butchered that name, so we'll probably have to go and I'll go back and check it.
I'll throw it in, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Sweet. All right. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, cool. Sweet. So I guess before we wrap up, any questions, anything that anyone wants to bring up before we kind of end, or anything that anyone's having any trouble with? Doesn't look like it.
Let me ask something.
Yeah.
I guess. So in the operator repo, we occasionally get stuff that's talking about like the Helm chart or installing stuff, and I usually respond to those. Hey, you should go put this in the Project Calico repo instead. Is there? I mean, does anybody disagree with that? Like, I'm not. I guess they're installing the operator, so they come to the operator repo, but the operator repo doesn't actually have the charts or manifests that they're using. So it's kind of like, okay, I understand why you're here, but go over here anyway.
It's hard for me to say that I disagree with it, but I kind of do. Like, I think
Is it because you
probably
think the
isn't.
chart should be in the operator repo? Is that why you disagree with
That's
it?
part one of my response. Yes, part one is that the chart should be there, and part two is that it's not really helping them or us really to have it in one place or the other, as long as it's tracked somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's just a extra bit of work. I mean, one thing we could do, rather than have them close that and raise a new one, is you can migrate. Actually, I don't know if you can migrate across organizations. You can certainly migrate between repos in the same organization, but it might not work this way. But I'd be in favor of leaving them there and moving the chart rather than moving the issues.
All right. Well, I know which one's easier to do right now. Oh, on stuff like
the
that.
chart get versioned with Calico though, rather than the operator?
What does it get versioned as? Let me check what our releases have. I think either way. Yeah, so the operator, the chart technically has the Calico version number on it. So we would need to work through what the implications of that are. But like there's this weird sort of loop of dependencies where the Calico release refers to an operator version and the operator version refers to a Calico version. And so we need to unpick that, but hopefully we can unpick it in a way that results in the things that install the operator living with the operator and the things that install Calico living with Calico.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a that kind of circularity has come up a few times. The guys at IBM were getting quite confused with it because they watch the releases of the two things and they see an operator release, but it's an enterprise operator release, not an open source one, and they're looking for the open source version. And yeah, I think it does confuse some folks.
It confuses me. Not surprised at all that other people are confused.
especially now that we share the same minor versions.
Wait, what do you mean, Matt? What minor versions do we share?
We used to split them so that like the minor version would only be one minor version would only be for open source release, and then the other one would be only
Oh,
for enterprise releases.
right.
Now they're in the same minor version, just designated by patch releases.
Yeah.
Was the reason for that just to limit the complexity of backporting things? So there's not as many places to hit.
You know, I don't actually know. I assume that that's the reason we did it, but I also know that it adds other issues. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we had if that was the main reason, and that was I maybe just don't remember how painful that had used to have been.
I think that is part of why it was done. I mean, from the very beginning, the intention was that every release would be both an open source and an enterprise release. And there were complexities to that that we didn't foresee just around code management and testing, but like I still think that should be the goal. There shouldn't be special releases just for one or the other. Obviously, like some releases will have fixes that only impact enterprise, but it should still work for open source. It just, we don't want to make users go through unnecessary upgrades where they're not actually getting anything different.
Makes sense. Cool. Any other topics anyone wants to bring up? Nope. Okay, cool. In that case, that looks like it. Oh, before we go, I think one last kind of announcement. We have, I think, the community survey up on our website. So anybody wants to go ahead and fill that out. I think that's it. Okay. Now I don't think I forgot anything. So unless there's anything else anybody else wants to talk about, I think we can call it there. So
Sounds good to
yeah.
me. Could you make sure to throw a link to that survey in the notes?
Yeah.
I'm not sure where that is.
Yeah, I'll go find it. All right. Awesome. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you guys next month.
Everyone.